Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University, and Captain America, issue number 2. This was an interesting book, to say the least. This is the one where I start wondering, where exactly are we going to? I'm going to have a lot to say about that at the end of this, but yeah. Anyway, so this issue is called Our Secret Wars, Part 2. The writer, Chip Zdarsky. The artist, Valerio Scheide. Color artist Frank Martin, and letters VC's Joe Caramagna. The cover and recap art page by Ben Harvey. How you doing? Bunch of variant covers out there, including one by Chip, including another one by Valerio Scheide. Hello. Yeah, enjoying it. Enjoying it very much. So, and Joe Rubinstein taking the lead with Matt Mila on one of the covers. That's interesting. Joe is usually an inker, but he's a good artist by himself also. Anyway, so the U.S. military, the new Captain America, and the original Captain America, not old, he's not old. Timeline, sure, but age, apparent, not really. Anyway, what do you call it? They're in Afghanistan in some of these flashbacks. And they're hanging out with this guy named, well, not Captain America, original. They're showing flashbacks of the new Captain America since Afghanistan, right? This is right after 9/11. So, what do you call it? He's hanging out and they're like, yeah, free Kabul, now a free Kandahar. This is really cool, right? And Qasim, who's the guy who's assigned to help them out. So this is an Afghani militant, right? A guy who used to help out against the Soviets back in the day, and now he's helping out he's helping the Americans. He's saying, but you weren't here for any of this fighting. You just kind of showed up afterwards. We've been fighting for 2 months. It's only 1 month that you've been here, though. We did all this work. You just dropped some bombs and you showed up afterwards. So I just want to point out, this is the Marvel Universe that we're talking about. This is not real life. That is not how it happened in real life. I can go into a whole mess of stories about how it happened in real life, but sure. Anyway, this is the Marvel Universe. I'm willing to give Chip the benefit of the doubt. Because, yeah. Anyway, more on that later maybe. So now in the present, it's all of these guys plus the original Captain America, and Cap is in his new suit. There's a blackened star with a red outline, and it's different, which is fine, because I imagine at some point Cap is going to have to fight against this other Cap and who outranks him, beat the crap out of him, and show himself to be the real Captain America, and that's when he's going to start wearing something closer to the original costume, that we know. Maybe something like we see on the covers right now. In the meantime, they're in Doomstat in Latveria. So Doom has just taken over. It's cool the way we're going back, and this whole thing seems to be multiple flashbacks or a story from the past. We've seen this so many times with Captain America before, right? It's a story from the past. Not quite a flashback, but something to that effect. So he's going through, all these guys are going through Latveria, talking about what it used to be called, David Hasselhoff's or something like that. And I thought that was funny. And they come across a Doom bot, and they think it's the real Doom. And they're really that dumb, right? Like, here's Dr. Doom, the leader of everything, is just going to come out of nowhere and attack them. And, like, come on, really? Really? They're all that dumb, including Captain America? Okay, sure. Let's play that game, okay? So they beat it up. It's just a Doom bot controlled by this other dude. Bunch of things happening here, and basically this guy is trying to shift the plan, shift the deal in the making. And this happens a lot, right? Hey, how do you want to do this? How do you want to do that? Okay, let's make an agreement. You go and do it. Once you guys get together to actually make the exchange, suddenly somebody says, actually, what if we did this instead? And that's when all of a sudden nobody trusts anybody else. And that's the way it works in real life also. If you're in the military and something like that happens, things go bad really quick. Just like if you're in the mafia or some other, drug running organization, things go bad really fast. We had a plan, and now you're going to be a joker and try and change it while we're all standing here with guns. I don't trust you that much. I don't trust you any further than I could throw you. And now you're going to go and actually betray the deal? No. Always, always, always a stupid, low IQ idea to ever change a plan when you're right there, right? Anyway, so that guy was just wrong. I get the bad, I know he's going to be the bad Captain America getting upset. He overreacted with, beating the crap out of or, shoving the guy against the wall and whatnot. But yeah, tensions are going to be high, especially when they just said, yeah, don't worry, guys, this is an area that America doesn't oversee. They don't have eyes on over here. Translation, you're not safe. So I get it. Anyway, so this guy, so Captain America, for some reason, the real Captain America says, yes, let's go out and assassinate Dr. Doom. I'll enter behind enemy lines by myself, not obeying my people, my superiors, and I'm just going to go out and I'm going to help this guy enter into the enemy fortress and assassinate Dr. Doom. Different things happen than expected, and it's actually very cool the way it happened. There's a whole bunch of Force lightning. There's some Emperor Palpatine moments in here, and holy crap, it was really cool. So I'm digging it, all right? And something that I expected to happen starts to happen in this at the end of the comic book. I'm not here to spoil the whole book for you. You do that on your own. I'm sure there's some other reviewer who's willing to do that. My recommendation, read the comic book. I'm scared going forward reading this because Chip is dangling awfully close to like Mean Girl territory. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, every so often I come across a Canadian who does not like Americans very badly, like really badly. I usually don't give air in this guy's lungs, but there's this one guy who, he's a comic book, I don't know, I wouldn't call him a legend. He did a couple things in comic books, and now he does a bunch of minor comic books that, very few people read. And I brought him on my channel. I've talked to him. I've interviewed him. I've given him space. I've given him, the ability to talk to the audience and try and, promote his work and whatnot. And he never really seemed to like me because I was American. He was always kind of on the cusp, and then one little disagreement and he insults me like nobody's business. I remember one time I had diverticulitis, the thing that took out Brock Lesnar, right? And I have a pretty high pain tolerance. I don't know if it's like Brock's. I'm not going to try and compare myself to Brock. That's not, I was just saying, giving you an idea, right? The thing that took out Brock Lesnar, pretty high pain tolerance. So I let it go for a couple of days, not really knowing what it was, but whatever. Could have died. Genuinely could have died. Went in, hospital, had to, it was pretty rough. I'm sitting there in recovery dealing with this doctor, and I say dealing with because he seemed like a really nice guy, and I was still in some pain, and I go and I tell him something, and I was like, I wasn't an American citizen or a Canadian citizen at the time, so I was just like, landed, da-da-da. He's like, oh, where are you originally from? America. And he just kind of sat back, and you could tell like a little bit of disgust on his face, and he's like, well, you're an American now. All of this is America. I was like, yeah, North America. He's like, well, you're not American. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm American. Everywhere I go in the world, I'm called an American. Like, what do you want me to call myself? A United Statesian? like it's like, what is this? And it went on more than that, but I'm saying, like, what is this hatred that some Canadians have towards Americans? I don't get it. And some of the things in here do seem very anti-American. Chip Zdarsky doesn't live too far from here, right? Guy's he's a Canadian. He's a very nice guy, though, so I don't want to think that he's actually hateful towards America, but there's some things in here Like, oh, you've only been here for a month. That's not how it really went. It was Americans who went in and freed Afghanistan. It was Americans who went in and freed lots of different places. We have bases around the world because of an agreement that we have with the world, right? Well, with the Allies at the time. There's a reason, there's a deal that we're going to sit there and we're going to keep the peace because we are the only superpower. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Does it always work out that way? No, not necessarily, but come on. To sit here and say like we're bad guys, to suggest that we're bad guys, I get it. Different people are going to have different opinions and things like that. But when you start changing history, I have to remind myself, this is the Marvel universe, not the real universe. I could tell you about how sloppy and messed up Afghani soldiers have been since forever, right? Almost like they're sabotaging themselves. Is what it is. It is what it is. Every time we've tried to pass it over, not a good thing. The biggest flub we ever made was giving them weapons and just leaving all our stuff behind. Anyway, whatever. I hate the idea of making this political, but it's been brought political. And you can tell Chip Zdarsky is not a soldier, has never been, will never be. He's just not. The slightest thing, every single former soldier, I don't know about in the Canadian military, but probably in the Canadian military also, saw one word in here that says Chip Zdarsky knows nothing about the military except that there is a military. He used the word repeat over the radio. We have laterally up, down, left, right. Okay, so on grid coordinates, so on a map, up, down would be the equivalent of north, south, right? And left, right would be east or west, east, right? Respectively. The idea here is that when we call for fire, we're giving a grid coordinate. If it's far away, it's going to be a howitzer or something else. Or if it's up close, it might be a mortar, right? If we get really, really, really lucky, we can actually, if it's big enough, we can actually get an airstrike. But it all depends on what you're calling for fire, what your target is. You're going to start, trying to call for fire, and you've got to give grid coordinates. So here it is, we're going to give these coordinates, and then we're going to, shift, right? We're going to be like easting, we're going to be northing, we're going to be trying to get the fire exactly where we want. We have maximum of 3, right? 3 tries. And then we're going to fire for effect. We're going to call for a fire for effect to actually take the entire, so instead of 1 mortar or whatever lobbed down there, down range, instead, we're going to wind up having 10, right? Just like that to bomb the area. You could take out an entire platoon that way. You could take out a small base that way. There's a lot of things you could do. Anyway, afterwards, you have got to go down and have eyes on, boots on that area, because you can't clear an area from far away. There could still be enemy there. There could be survivors there. And unlike every single one of our enemies, including Canada, not to say Canada's our enemy, but all of the other countries out there, including Canada, look at some of the war crimes, even during World War II, where war crime is like, are you kidding me? Look at what some of the Canadian soldiers have done. You can look up on the internet why Canadian soldiers go crazy in war. Like, dude, war crimes, murdering people, murdering hostages. We're not supposed to do that. We actually follow Geneva Convention, which Geneva's not in America, by the way. So we actually try to follow all these things. We don't use landmines. We try to clear landmines when we come across at great expense to ourselves. So, good guys, what is good? No one's good but my Father who's in heaven. But when we're talking about, trying to be good, yeah. America tries to be good. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying they always succeed, but come on. So this Marvel Universe version, this Chip Zdarsky, Captain America universe of what America is a little weird. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, when we go down range and we actually start inspecting and seeing, are there survivors? Are there hostages? Are there, did we mess up? Do a report on what we did. We need a sit rep, a situational report, not repetition. because think of where I'm going with this. But what if we see that there's some kind of a problem before we go down there? Oh, they're mounting up for another ambush and they're bringing out a tank. You know what I'm saying? Oops. Then we call on the radio one word. We say, repeat. And they fire those last grid coordinates. Boom, 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 boom. Fire for effect again. Right? 10 or more lobs. Anyway, the idea is if you get down there on the radio and say, hey, so how's the site? Da, 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 da. Well, okay, everything's good. We got a couple hostages down here. You know, we got a couple... Crazy cat. Anyway, we got this, that, and the other thing. What, you know, I didn't hear you. You know, hey, base, I didn't hear you. Could you repeat the last thing you said? No, we would never say that. We would say again. Right? In the military, we say again. We never say repeat. That would never, ever, ever happen. If someone made that mistake, he might get a butt stroke to the head if he was wearing his K-pot. But the point is, his Kevlar helmet. But that's the idea. Like, it's all these different things in here that I'm seeing, and that's the most obvious that any soldier saw. Any soldier would look at that and say, oh, come on, he said repeat on the radio of all things. I don't like to say repeat in real life. And I'm hard of hearing, so I'm constantly, say again, excuse me, what'd you say? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so I'm taking this with a grain of salt. I'm hoping Chip is going to do good by the idea, the spirit of America. Otherwise, what are you doing writing Captain America? I don't want to see a liberal who hates America. And there are conservatives who hate America too, whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't want to see one of these people who hate America writing for Captain America. That would be terrible, right? And I don't know Chip's personal politics. Every time I've met him, he's been great. He's been great to me. He's been great to my kids. You know what I'm saying? The guy's not going to remember me, but like the idea is he was a good person. One day maybe I'll have the chance to interview him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just don't want to see that I hate America stuff, and now I get to write Captain America and get my politics across. I was hoping those days at Marvel are over. I was hoping those days in comic books specifically are over. I was kind of hoping. I just saw a double feature yesterday for Superman and Fantastic Four, and I loved them both. Loved them both, right? I really thought all those days of, you know, politics were over and we could just enjoy good stuff. Oh, not always so easy when you're doing something like Captain America, but be fair. That's all anybody asks. Be fair. Anyway, guys, that's more than enough out of me. I'm out of here. I'm gone, all right? I'll talk to you guys later. I would still consider getting this comic book, all right? This could be leading up to something really, really good. And Chip is great at, you know, the back and forth. See? There's the bad guy right there, knocking over all my stuff. Anyway, that's T'Challa, by the way. He is an all-black cat, and he's freaking awesome, even when he's knocking over my stuff. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Like the video, watch an ad. Like the video for T'Challa, at the very least. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.